We've got a great audience today. This webinar is all about why your website gets traffic but doesn't get leads. My name is Marc Uible. I'm a vice president here at Threekit. Threekit helps manufacturers sell complex products digitally. We do that with an AI agent that sits on your website and with an AI sales agent that dealers, architects, designers, and pros can use to get to a proposal and quote for these complex manufactured products. Will, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm Will Thompson. I'm on the solution engineering team here at Threekit. Excited to dig in the content today. Really excited that y'all are here.
We've scheduled this webinar for 30 minutes. Sometimes these webinars get a little long, so I'm going to get right into it. Let's talk why your website gets traffic but doesn't get leads. In this call, we're going to go through a few slides and then get into real customers using AI agents and the results that they're getting. Feel free to jump in and let's get after it. The first hypothesis of why we started our company is that everyone will come to expect a ChatGPT-like experience, even for complex products. ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Grok doesn't really matter. Everyone will expect a world where companies are offering answers and solutions as opposed to expecting the user, whether this case it be a architect or designer or pro or dealer or building owner or homeowner, they don't want to navigate specs and attributes and PDPs and filters. They're going to expect answers. So we see this world has evolved from the internet being an area for browsing to then like Google and Algolia and these other folks showed up where you could search. And the real way that all things are moving is a world where the user can give you a little bit of input and they're going to get a ton of context back that is personalized and customized to them and their needs. Threekit has two primary agents. One agent lives on your website and it helps dealers, pros, architects, designers, contractors get towards a suggested proposal and then convert into leads. It educates and it guides them on those things. The other is a sales agent, which works more specifically with dealers, sales teams, and architects, and that helps to get to a more finalized quote, including bill of material and those sorts of things. Today, we're spending most of our time talking about the website agent. We've seen a lot of traction with folks in the building products industry on this. Those are our two products. Why? What is the current state of the market? If you are a manufacturer that sells a product that's highly configurable today, this is what we're seeing in the market. Hours are lost per deal. Dealers, architects, designer pros, they're spending 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours configuring the product. In this case, we say a door, but it could be a door, a bathroom system, a roof. These things are not always easy to configure. There's a lot of attributes, rules. There's a ton of back and forth between the pro or the dealer and the end customer. And there's this notion of cascading logic where, hey, I went down this route, and if something's wrong, like we want to change a material or the pricing isn't on budget for them, you got to start all over again. It takes a lot of time. Errors are a huge thing, and we believe that the errors often are starting higher in the funnel. That problem, they get on the wrong assumption early, and then it might lead down to an order where, hey, we didn't align early with that end customer, and that leads to errors. Of course, deals that never happen. Someone might say, hey, this is just too difficult, and I'm going to go work with another provider in the area that I already know. You lose deals that way. The 10,000-pound gorilla is in every single vertical that we work in around these manufacturers. The very best reps are the ones who are most expert, who've been in the industry a very long time. Those folks are retiring, and new people generally aren't going to learn the ins and outs of your product. They might know a little bit, but they're not going to know every SKU, every attribute, every option. Like I said, the best people are retiring. These are kind of the main problems we're seeing in the industry. So, what makes an AI agent great? First and foremost, it's not a chatbot. A chatbot's going to ask, hey, what product are you interested in? What finish are you interested in? What size? You should be thinking, whether you work with Threekit or build your own or think about the industry, you should be exploring having a trained AI agent who understands your products, your catalogs, your SKUs, your inventory, your dealers, and that agent is acting as a salesperson, not just like the old world of search. An agent would say, hey, you need something for your Craftsman exterior that's under $800. I'd start in this area. I'd suggest these types of configurations for you. Would you like to see that in action? We design our agents with some real things in mind. Maybe you want to speak to that for a moment before we get into showing the actual demos.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sharing Mark's mic, so hope everybody can hear me. We kind of have a philosophy for our agents after doing many of these projects. And like Mark was saying, everybody's seen a chatbot on a commerce site, and they're very limited and they kind of have tunnel vision on whatever their programmed task is. And what we try to think about is how would you feel if you were being consulted with rather than being probed? And what a good consultant does, they don't ask how much capacity do you have, how much water pressure is in your home, the technical details of the product. What they do is they uncover requirements and objectives from the customer, and they translate that into recommendations. That's what good salespeople do. So we try to bake that into how our agents work. Throughout an interaction with an agent, it's all about framing the objective. Let's take a complex bathroom system as an example. You have to consider how much water pressure the home has. Do they want a shower head on the ceiling, on the wall? Do they want body sprays? Do they want technology inside to control? All those things can be surfaced based on what their objective is, right? And that usually starts with something like, I want a spa experience. A good salesperson, a good dealer knows what products go in that. Throughout the conversation, you're framing it around, I want a spa-like experience. Okay, let me make some recommendations off the bat, right? Our agents try to recommend early. These are some things that are going to work for you because you want a spa-like experience. Then they request action. So it's action or reaction. Here are some things. What do you think? I like them or I don't like them. Okay, so based on that, you can narrow down the catalog or expand the search. And throughout the process, you're framing that objective and you're going to make confirmations throughout, recap and confirm to say, hey, here's what we've decided. Here's why we've decided it. And here's the next step through the process. It's about informing the user on what's going on, making it feel very human and interactive, but not saying, do you want this or that without any context? Because that's not a helpful interaction. Ultimately, what we're trying to do is get that user, that buyer, through a journey, narrow down a huge catalog of products to several or one, and move them through the process. So that's kind of how we're thinking about how humans should interact with agents.
Let's get into a few examples. We'll talk through how a customer used it, and then you show the demo, and then we'll do the flip-flopping here.
Great.
One of our customers is a large plumbing and bath manufacturer. What they were saying beforehand was, look, we have these designers and architects, and they have an idea, they understand technical requirements, and they understand a budget. But when you're configuring a commercial bathroom or a residential bathroom, there's just a lot of SKUs that go into that. There's the faucet, the hand dryer, there can be baby changing stations, the mirrors, basin. There's a lot there. And the architect or designer is saying, look, I understand the requirements and needs and some specs, but at the end of the day, there's millions of options here, and I have a budget, and I don't have unlimited time. And so what they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to call a sales rep if I'm lucky. If the manufacturer's lucky, I will call the sales rep and tell them, hey, here's what my needs and wants. You configure it for me. And then the sales rep will go back to them and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking for you. It's a months long process back and forth. What we delivered for them is one agent that handles two workflows. Tell me a little bit about your project, what industry and vertical it's in, and I will suggest fully configured solutions for you to review. You can take that, and in minutes, you're getting fully configured solutions that are on budget and aesthetically, you can see the aesthetic. And it's taking a solution set that often takes months and moving it down to taking literal minutes. It's an absolute game changer for them. I'm going to breeze through this demo real quick on the roofing side, helping contractors, dealers get to solutions. Typically, how it works in the roofing industry was they would want, how folks would struggle here is they kind of get into this point where they're like, hey, I know the homeowner. I kind of have some idea of what they might want. I'm just going to go to the local dealer and just buy the stuff. But again, in this new world, meet the customer where they're at. So allow them to, if they have a fully spec'd out project, allow them to upload that. If all they have to be a photo of the house, let them upload that. Let them sync with other tools that might already be in your flow. If someone uploads a blueprint to a house, it automatically will do takeoff and find the total area, understand things like slope and pitch, and start asking you questions like budget. We see this a lot with our manufacturers. Value engineering. Oftentimes, someone is starting with a pre-budget in mind. They say, hey, I got $24,000 for this project. What can I get for $24,000? Again, what AI gives you is this way of dynamically engaging. If someone said $24,000, that's one route. They might say, hey, we've got a higher budget. You know, they might not say engage and you got to keep going, but AI gives you this ability to engage people at their level. We'll buzz through here. They have style preferences. You're asking critically, get them to a recommendation. How this customer's thinking about it is good, better, best. You know, what we think is right for you. There's a premium option and an option that's maybe lower priced. Naturally, they're bundling here. This is roofing, so you're going to be selling the right amount of underlayment, roofing nails needed to complete the job. These are things that get done elsewhere. What our manufacturers are thinking about is how do I guide them to solutions, offering not just one idea. Would you like the more premium one? Would you like the one that's a little bit more lower priced? Would you like to consider these other things that naturally bundle with these things?
This project as well, a lot of manufacturers have different friction points along the sales process. One example is very expensive returns. A
Ah,
person doing the install does it the old-fashioned way. They buy a product for a commercial building in Arizona, but they bought a roof that doesn't insulate well.
yeah.
So you're going to bake inside. And what they have to do is they have to say, sorry, bought the wrong thing, return it. What should I get instead? And by that time, the manufacturer has to eat the cost of return because they're not going to deny repeat business in the future, right? You don't want to say, sorry, you have to buy both. They're going to do what's right for their customer. And in that, they have to eat that return. So, what a tool like this can do is, where's the project? It's in Arizona. I'm going to exclude everything that is not really well insulated against heat.
That's such a good shout. What we see time and time again is an architect or designer who are pros, but maybe they fall in love with a particular product because of a certain property of that product. And sometimes those things make it all the way through to order with someone saying, ooh, I didn't realize that because of ABC, that's actually not the right product for you.
And a smaller version of that is if you send samples for whatever reason, are they swatches? Are they materials? A lot of our clients go through 3 rounds of samples and their sample budget every year is really high. So how can we whittle that down from 3 rounds of sample ordering down to one? Because they've gone through a process like this. They're very well informed. We've excluded everything that is definitely not going to work for them. And it's a lot of small but impactful levers that you can pull throughout these very complex sales cycles.
And what I love in this one is you get to an actual proposal. So someone is starting to understand and they're getting there in minutes instead of hours. And this is going to be the lever through which manufacturers compete in the future, help everybody get to the right answers faster. And now there's finally a way to do it. So I'll wrap it up there. We committed to a 30-minute webinar and we like to stick to our word. We can sit here quietly for 2 or 3 minutes, or y'all can ask any questions. Any natural questions that pop up to you? I know a lot of folks usually at this point will ask about integrations. They'll ask, what does a project look like? We got a limited time, but what do you want to say about
At
that?
a high level, what we try to do is orchestrate a lot of siloed systems. A lot of the information required in this experience exists somewhere. So, what we don't want to do is say, you have to match this schema for all these different systems, and then we will be ready. We talk to all those systems, we ingest all the required information into the Threekit platform, put it through an enrichment process to make sure that those data points can be related to one another for workflows. And then they're surfaced in the APIs that power the front ends. And those can be on a website, those can be in a CRM or a CPQ. They can live in a lot of different areas. So I'd say at a high level, that's what the starting point is. And then it's pretty standard software implementation after that.